So we kind of typically start where the cameras stop, and we stop where the CDNs start. That's the space we play in. We specialize in live, and we do a heck of a lot of it. So we do about 100,000 live events a year with NASDAQ. We have customers like Arqiva, DAZN, Stats Perform, all sorts of broadcasters along those lines. And our focus is exclusively on live to VOD as well, and the use of AI to increase efficiency in the delivery and scalability of those kinds of services. So for some of our customers, we've been able to sort of reduce by 10 the workload, the headcount they need to deliver a particular number of events, which means that they can then scale much more rapidly and much more economically. We do, however, come from a CDN background. So one of our founders, one of my co-founders, Dom Robinson, founded, I think, the second CDN ever in Europe, which was a multicast-based CDN about 20 years ago, and I think that was an idea that was about 40 years too soon. So Keith here in the audience might well disagree with me, because I know he has views on multicast CDNs today, but I think there are some interesting challenges and economics around what that brings. We built one of the world's biggest WebRTC CDNs, and we also interact daily with a large number of CDN providers and partners, and we get to see the kind of the business end of it. And there are two areas that we are particularly passionate about in that context. One is, how can we minimize the burden of making sure things are going the way you want them to be? When you're operating at scale, that can be a very, very challenging task. So you have a whole bunch of information flowing from the center to the edge, and a whole bunch of information from the edge to the center. And I want to make decisions during my live event that make the user experience better. So what kinds of technologies can we facilitate in order to make that exercise a fruitful one? And then we also have kind of technical opinions. So for example, I think Media Over Quick's been mentioned already. We were one of the early authors of the draft specs on that. We have a draft 7 compatible capability on that, and really interested to see where that goes and how that can disrupt the market, because frankly, I think it is just a better mousetrap. I think it really ought to change the way the industry does business. And then finally, back to the context of how can I make a real-time user experience better all the way through my supply chain. Well, obviously we have monitoring and AI and support and all that kind of stuff, but how can I deliver that all the way downstream, ideally to the player? And so, again, we're one of the authors of the CMSD-MQA spec. So there you go, there will be tests later. So CMSD allows you to take metadata and insert it into the stream at the packaging stage, and then have that metadata flow all the way along through your packager, at the encoding stage, so it flows through your packager, through your CDN, all the way down to the client devices. And that standard allows you to put whatever metadata you want in there. So you can put all sorts of stuff, but the MQA, the -MQA bit, is the media quality analysis aspect. So if you look at an operation at scale, you'll typically have some origination services, possibly multiple ones, maybe a separate packaging service, possibly multiple ones, handing off to CDNs, almost definitely multiple ones, and then handing off to multiple end-user consumer devices. Into that, in order to work out what's going on, you typically then have large-scale events will put lots and lots of probes out into the world to try and monitor in real time what's happening. What CMSD MQA points out is you already know the answer to that question, because at the origin, as I'm encoding all of this material, I can work out the VMAF score, I can check the quality of the audio, I can do all of this stuff and provide exactly the kind of statistics that your probes are going to have to be recreating whenever they receive a stream. And probes are potentially problematic for a number of reasons. One is they're not the cheapest things in the world. Yeah, rightly so, they're very clever pieces of kit. Two, especially if I have extremely high value content, those probes typically have to have DRM keys on them, and that can be extremely problematic as how I manage that and do that securely and so on and so forth. Whereas if I am taking quality metrics, inserting that at the encoder, that then allows me at a packager, for example, to look at that quality data. I've got 2 encoding centers. One of them was suffering from rain fade. The other one was having a good day. At that point, my packager can say, okay, that's great. I was using the primary source. I'm going to transparently switch to the secondary source because it's getting a higher quality score. I can then start to do that through my CDN handoff all the way through to the player, where the player can make quality-based decisions as how it can give the user the highest quality experience it possibly can do. So we're really excited about where those kinds of technologies can help bring the CDN and the large-scale live event experience forward and better, but we do it from kind of right at the far left-hand side of the experience.